How would you feel when a hot girl corners you just beside the dead bodies piled over each other? Army Sakurai is in a similar condition. The difference is the hot girl Miyako is another yander who took care of those guys who were after his life, and MC does not seem to like her being this close. We are about to witness another yander in action like a future diary. It seems this is not the first time happened to him. He has been stalked multiple times, and each time his stalker was different. After this incident, his mother takes this matter to the detectives, and they don't believe it could have happened. Instead, advise her to change his environment for his best interest. Having such a miserable life made Sakurai a stern and brooding person. His family moves to another town and admits him to another school where he does not talk much and minds his own business. His ugly classmates don't know a thing about him and say such annoying stuff about his behavior, even calling him creepy like a ghost for not participating in class. It's not like they keep it in a low voice. He can hear them very clearly. When they are done talking about him, they open another topic that a new hot girl moved into the class next to theirs, and she seems to have bandages on her both arms. Sakurai turns pale and guesses this new transfer student might be none other than his yander stalker. Suddenly, a girl puts her hand on his shoulder and he throws himself on the ground in shock. Thank God she is not yander Miyako, but his friend Yuta. They come outside to talk about this matter. He apologizes to her for reacting like that, and she understands anyone would have reacted the same. She seems to be his nice and charming friend. He has discussed with her his stalking incidents, and she has come to talk for the same. She thinks these incidents are related to the rumor that a girl is roaming around in school and talking with every student asking if they know a guy who just moved into this town. This boy can be no one but him. Sakurai gets terrified and realizes Miyako has come after him in this town as well, but Yuta seems to know how to deal with her. She takes him to an abandoned building where she can help him according to his plan. Sakurai has no choice other than to believe his friend, so he goes on following her. This building goes on getting creepier with each step. Even Sakurai smells something wrong. He asks her to go back and don't butt in any further. In his case, Miyako can be the deadliest for them. She was already aware of Miyako's aura, that's why she's brought him further away to keep him away from Miyako's sight. She strips her shirt while coming close to him and grabs his face, asking him to become one with her. She is not another dirty-minded woman, but a horrible creature who transforms into a form that resembles a centipede. Sakurai is left motionless and cannot believe his eyes, even consider it his bad dream. At the right time, Miyako sneakily shows up and strikes her weapon at Yuta. Yuta gets injured and tries to run away, seeing she can't stand against Miyako. Miyako also lets her run and won't let her die this easily after making a scratch on her beloved Sakurai. Miyako turns to him, which scares the hell out of him. He backs off in terror while she walks towards him in excitement to see him after a long time. He asks her the reason why she is following him, and she has a simple answer that he belongs to her, so she has to take care of him from those inhumane monsters who have been stalking him for years. It does not matter to her if they are Yukai or Spectre. She will remove any hindrance in her love. While she is talking to Sakurai, Centipede is strangling her arm from outside of the window. She wants to know which one he would like to survive, her or that centipede. He can smell threats from her words, but what idiot would choose death over life? He wants to live, so he begs her to save his life while crying. Seeing his tempting face, she approaches him to have a tasteful kiss. She apologizes for teasing him. Her sole purpose is to protect him. She drags that centipede into the room and transforms into a horrible wolf. In a minute, she eliminates the centipede and clears her path. Sakurai is sulking over what's going on, but it's better than dying. She approaches him and confesses that she is madly in love with him enough that she can do anything for him. Her desire to be with him increases each time, so she embraces him to feel his warmth. He is still terrified of her and asks her to get off, but she makes him realize there is not just one Yukai after him. They have a group of Yukai around them, and only she can protect him. He turns speechless and motionless to see them while she enjoys embracing him. Sakurai dreams a nightmare about those weird creatures again that are very disturbing to him, so he wants to wake up soon. He opens his eyes, and worse than his nightmare, he finds Miyako in his home waking him up. He is furious at her for coming here, but she has already decided to stay by his side. Sakurai has a lot of questions and does not want to get involved more with her. He tries to move the door handle and get out, but she readily forbids him to do so if he loves his life. There is a monster lurking outside who barges in his hand through the door's mail slot. Miyako, a badass girl, goes there and easily snaps his fingers while threatening him. Sakurai has his eyes bulged out in terror and realization that it's another nightmare. Of course, she is one of those who are dying to eat his flesh. His mother is not home yet, so she has made breakfast for him. As a typical girlfriend, she feeds him his favorite rolled omelets, but he is disgusted with her very being. Without having any other choice, he starts eating it by himself. He asks her the reason why she is not eating after going through trouble. Well, one thing is she's an escorting wolf, and another she's not sure by herself. He is curious about her actions, what her goal is, and why her kind is so eager to eat him. She has to tell him if she desires to earn his trust. She exposes the truth about her kind, that people consider them spirits or urban legends, but the truth is they are the remnants of what they were once. Actually, she thought he would know the origin of her kind. It takes him back to his dreadful past. He stops eating breakfast and leaves the table, refusing he know anything about it. She senses something is wrong, and coming closely, she asks if he is hiding something. He recalls his past when he was a kid drenched in blood, and a man rebukes him for not changing after all this time. After all, he is a thief. He acts impulsively and corners her on the ground, threatening her with chopsticks that she should stop prying on him, otherwise she will lose her life. She is an eccentric witch who does not fear death if it's him who eliminates her and feels better. She hopes he remembers her death as a trauma that he will carry for the rest of his life. He pulls back his chopsticks, refraining to act on his anger. She tightly hugs him and makes him realize she would never come to hate him for whatever his path is. He just has to let her be close to him. It's his school time in the morning. After all of her comfort talk, he still asks her not to follow him anymore. She might have a wrong idea, but she is nothing more than a stalker for him. She understands his reasoning and will be waiting for him there for his school to end. Nevertheless, she will come to protect him if she senses something wrong in school. When he goes to school, she shows her real face. She is a crazy witch who is as eager to eat him as other Yuaki, and his angry face tempts her more to eat his flesh. Suddenly, she senses one of her kind lurking in school. We see a horrified ghost with long hair, even in a white dress, roaming in school. Miyako gets fired up and cannot locate the exact position of stalker. Sakurai listens to all the gossip again, and now it's about Yuita, who has not come to school. There is a rumor going on that she is transferring schools, and her family suddenly has also left without any words. They guess Sakurai might know about it because they were together yesterday, but no one has guts to ask this creepy guy. Sakura is sick of this gossip and wonders what Miyako would do to all these guys if she heard what they were talking about. She might get rid of each of them and yearn for his praise. He sees some girls watching a crowd gathered at the gate around a certain girl. Sakurai gets a hunch about who she might be and runs towards the gate. Well, she is Miyako, who has broken the gate and invaded in school. Sakurai does not want to get involved with her, but if he avoids her, then things could go wrong. He listens to students talking about her. She seems to be Sakurai's stalker, which Yuita mentioned once. She could be the reason Yuita left the school, and the same thing might have happened in his former school. Sakurai hits with an idea. What if he turns this situation in his favor and gets a better reputation by confirming those rumors? He could make an excuse that he is in the same boat as Yuita and could not tell anyone about her due to lingering fear. He hates those guys, but it's the question about his life. When he's about to work on his idea, Miyako surprisingly confesses that she was the one who got rid of Yuita. Every person on Earth likes to do weird and sinful stuff, but if he sees someone doing the same, his sense of justice activates. These students feel bad about Yuita and turn into heinous beings. They start throwing stuff at her and bullying her. Sakurai can see they are going too far, but it's her own fault for exposing herself. When things are turning in Sakurai's favor, she makes it worse than they already were. She stands there firmly without any regret and is ready to throw her everything as long as she can be with her lover. It moves his heart to see a girl going this far just for him. He comes forth in front of her, facing those guys, and lets things hit him. A guy asks him what he is even doing, and he, in turn, asks if it matters. These dumbasses won't understand a thing about him if he tells them anything. It triggers them more to throw stuff at him, but before they do anything, Miyako grabs him and disappears in the blink of an eye. They have come a bit far from school. His bleeding has stopped, and he is sulking again with depression. Who would not be in such a situation? On questioning why she has come here, she tells him that the stalker who chased off in the morning has blended in with students to come after him, but it's okay as she has remembered her face and will deal with her later. Sakurai is fed up and can't go to school anymore. Forgetting everything, he would not ever react to anyone as he did back then. What is the reason she said those things about him? Even his mother has never said such things. His anger and frustration are powering up her temptation to eat him as a whole, which can be seen by how she is drooling over him. She does not love him as a person, but as a delicious meat and food. Sakurai has locked up his room and is not letting her in through the window. If this idiot does not know, though, she can break in easily. She keeps on resisting, so without any other choice, he lets her come in and tells her what's going to happen. He has not told his mother about what happened in school. Moreover, his homeroom teacher is going to check up on him why he is not coming to school. So if they find Miyako still in his home, then it would be more trouble for him. Considering it, it would be best she would remain hidden for the time being. If that homeroom teacher happens to be a monster, then she will come to protect him. Isn't it? He knows he is asking too much from her, but it would be acceptable for her. She accepts him relying on her and wants him to call upon her whatever happens to him, and even if nothing happens, call her, because there will be a day when he will not open the door for her. She does not hide her gluttony and she presses against the window glass, where she looks creepy as hell. She suddenly opens the window and slithers towards him in a snake-like motion. At the same time, his hot chick homeroom teacher barges into the room and worryingly asks Miyako to let go of her student. They get off the hook by lying that Miyako is his relative. Later, she introduces herself as Yushimi and has come to discuss a matter with his guardian who is not present there. She looks like Serato with glasses, isn't she? Looking at Miyako standing peacefully, he can deduce the teacher is a normal human being, but he does not know how to interact with those who are not threatening to him. Anyway, she has brought a gift, cookies, which she baked by herself. It was her first making them, so she is kinda nervous and has made all these efforts to get along with him. Sakurai blushes and gets one cookie to eat, but it's utterly shocking for Miyako to see his different expressions. She looks at him creepily up close with tear-filled eyes. This poor soul must have been feeling gross. Yoshimi gives him the container of cookies to eat them later, so he puts that one cookie back there. Yoshimi changes the subject and asks him when he is going to return to school. She talked with students about his circumstances so they will understand the situation if he clears their misunderstandings about Miyako, as they are really good kids. It pisses him off why she is talking. Those kids have easily accepted the facts which she explained when they are such disgusting people who make rumors around the school and throw rocks at others. Suddenly, her behavior changes and her eyes turn creepy. She starts moving over the table asking if he does not believe her. He has to change himself if he desires to start things from scratch. She is a good boy and belongs to her. Her voice is scary and echoes in his head, provoking him to accept whatever she says. Her cringy behavior starts making him so uncomfortable and scared that he unconsciously begs Miyako for her help. Miyako scoots to cover him as she is claiming him as her property. Yoshimi pulls back and apologizes for losing herself. They will discuss the matter another day. If it's day or night, monsters come for him anytime. These horrific incidents and Miyako's interference to help him have made him completely rely on her. At night hour, he calls her name asking if he can trust her. However, she is not close to him but at some place where a student is brutally annihilated. She is the victim of the monster Yoshimi, who looks hot, drenched in blood and even licking it. Miyako did not sense her among the students this morning, so before she does anything to Yoshimi, she wants to know what her true nature is. Miyako and Yoshimi both get into terrible conversation. Miyako asks her if she is the one controlling those students in school, and Yoshimi does not answer clearly about who is actually the mastermind. After all, that school is filled with those monsters. Miyako does not accept there are any other monsters in the school except Yoshimi and another girl in the school. Yoshimi knows the reason why she does not recognize anyone besides these two. How she can detect them one-sidedly? They are creatures who have slight differences, but they have similar origins, and Miyako can detect them just based on their self-control. After all things explained, Miyako still does not care about anything and plans to continue her endless annihilation. Yoshimi does not seem to like her simple mind, which does not understand a thing. She is not cut for the job of protecting Sakurai. Yoshimi is confident in herself as a better fit for Sakurai, who will teach him all sorts of things and turn him into a wonderful guy. She is thrilled and excited, losing her control of the thought of protecting Sakurai and his very existence. Crap, look at her reddish face, she's another yandere. Miyako does not give a shit to whatever Yoshimi is saying. The only thing that Sakurai needs is her love. Yoshimi is also fed up with listening to her nonsense and goes on that transforming into a creature whose existence and words are respected by fear, and this time she's come to bring him an omen of death. She is the horrible and disgusting creature who goes by the popular name Ushi Anna. She seems to be the sister of Kuchisake Anna by looking at her face. She is a cow monster like Miyako, a wolf monster. Miyako also transforms her face and rushes toward Ushi Anna, but Anna is far more titanic than her and corners her against a wall in a minute. She continues to teach Miyako that she should learn how to deceive others as she did to that student. Yoshimi promised to save her in return for getting her help, but it was a flat lie. She would have eliminated her even after getting her help. Well, no one can stop Miyako from achieving whatever she wants, and this teaching stuff is really boring for her. She transforms into her horrible wolf form, and in a matter of time, she defeats Yoshimi, who was talking big. Yoshimi is ashamed she could not match up with Miyako and will come up for her later, but Miyako has decided this will be her death place. Yoshimi is confident there will be a next time because she will reborn. Yoshimi talks about things that we don't know yet. Maybe we will learn the true meaning in the next few chapters. She gives Miyako an omen that this city is being poisoned again, and there will be a disaster that will not be recorded in history. She is tired of lecturing, which is just Miyako's and Miyako of the old's fault. We really don't know the mystery about the Miyako and those monsters' origin. Sakurai dreams about his past of a long time ago when he was a young kid and was about to move into another town. There was a lady who did not seem glad about him moving to another town because she was about to achieve something. But she promised to find him no matter how many passed. They both seem to have a good relationship, almost like mother-son. He suddenly opens his eyes and sees Miyako sleeping there. Seeing her tattered clothes, he guesses she might have clashed with someone. While sleeping, she cutely says his name, even his heart melts for her. Whose heart won't after seeing a hottie sleeping without any guard? He comes out of the room and sees his mother has left cash for his lunch. She seems to be a busy lady and has not gotten the screen time yet. He goes to wake up Miyako and asks her to get her treatment, but her pretty face causes trouble for him. He lets her sleep on a futon and goes out to get lunch. In the daytime, he is cautious of monsters and keeps calm to see normal humans. Suddenly, he sees some students from his school going to a store, so he hides in the alley quickly. He regrets coming out and hiding like a fool, even having no fault. He decides to go to another store, and just when he leaves the alley, those monsters with their huge maniac and creepy faces pop up from behind. These monsters in the daytime look like monsters that Miruko-chan sees every time. Sakurai is a coward compared to her and freezes at a point, calling Miyako for her help. This time, not Miyako, but another lady comes and suddenly puts her straw hat on him to cover his eyes. One Piece is real. He has to close his eyes while she's going to take care of the trash. In a few minutes, she cleans the alley from those monsters and comes back without any scratches. She is the same girl whom he dreamt about in the morning, and she seems to know him very well. She carries him in her arms and tosses him in the sky like a kid. It has been a long time since they have been separated, and all the time she missed him like hell. It can be seen how she's crying to see his face. On the other hand, Miyako opens her eyes with a sudden shock, like she knows her other love rival has come. They both enjoy talking with each other. She is interrogating him like a mother that if he likes someone, because he is at an age where he can have a crush on any other passing girl. Well, poor soul does not have time to experience that time. Oppositely, he hates everyone. She asks him a weird question about his interest in her. He also seems dumbfounded by this, what reaction he should give to a woman who is the age same as his mother. Mommy. She has not forgotten him since he left her, even though the time they spent together was just a few hours. She was always wondering if he would have forgotten her. To compensate for her longing for him, she won't hold back anymore. She holds him close to her and licks his back, and the poor soul cannot free himself considering how big she is. Every girl we have seen so far is Yandere who is after his life. Everyone must be thinking he is lucky, so is he lucky. She intends to spend their reunion at a quiet place where there is no one around them. She is another Hachisaku same who goes after kids. Miyako also comes to that alley, but Yae is full of taking her prey. She can smell the monster's blood and other smells as well, and somehow she points out that Yae was in an abandoned building all the time. Considering these facts, it seems Miyako is familiar with who Yae is. We see that Yae has actually brought him to that abandoned building and got rid of other monsters who were after him. Sakurai is silent while she is talking a lot about their time. They used to play in deserted places like this, and right now, she's having a time of her life. Sakurai has come to the realization she was a monster all along, but he is not disappointed in her. After all, she was protecting him from those despicable monsters. Knowing he is already aware of the monster's stuff is kind of relieving for her. She was so anxious about revealing her true nature and worried like an idiot, but thanks to Miyako, he is knowledgeable about those spirits and monsters. And all of these things don't matter anymore. She seems to be dying to devour him as soon as possible. She is another love-struck woman who grabs his hand romantically and confesses her love for him while grossly licking his hand that she has had a crush on him for a long time. Her love is like a disease that won't be treated if she devours him. She starts showing her deadly and creepy face and transforms into another sickening form. She asks if he knows the end of a story about a god who leaves for the journey of searching for her true love. She is following him the same as God and won't let him run anymore. She is verbally torturing him by reminding the time when he was a coward. He hid the fact he killed the class's fish. He returned home late whenever he had low grades, and he put salt in his parents' food without knowing them. After knowing all things about him, how she can remain calm, so she wants him to make up her for all these years. At the right time, Miyako breaks into the building and attacks her. However, Yae is not a normal monster and easily dodges her attack. She seems to know Miyako as well, considering how she talks with Miyako. When Yae continues her chit-chat, Miyako throws a human-formed monster right at her to shut her mouth and bring on a fight. Sakurai is concerned about Miyako that she won't be able to survive after dueling with Yae, so he intends to stop this reckless fight. She asks Sakurai not to worry about anything, she will take care of him, and in return, she needs a reward suitable for her. Yae does not know the relationship between Sakurai and Miyako, and this reward thing is kinda confusing for her, but right now, she focuses on her rival before her. These beautiful girls transform into ugly and despicable forms to tear each other apart. Sakurai is such a sweet guy and interrupts them because he does not want either of them to die. It will make him sad, so requests them to settle this matter with talk. But these girls are not ready to solve this matter with words, as it's about a boy they love. While these girls are fighting, Sakurai is getting mad, thinking why they are going this far just because of him. It's making him crazy, wondering who the hell he is, and suddenly, he gets a flashback of a dying Miyako. When he is breaking badly, another monster breaks into the building, aiming for his ass. These girls leave the useless fight and take care of the incoming monster in a flash. Miyako covered Sakurai and held him back while Yi took care of Monster. This monster is creepy as hell and cries to get by his side, as she is also in love with him. They see a mysterious girl in the window observing them and pulling back after all this ruckus. These girls recognize a threat to Sakurai, so they join hands for their beloved boy just for once. Ye requests Miyako to keep this boy away from that mysterious thing as far as possible for his sake. She will come again to find him. Miyako does not wait for a second to get his boy far from all the other girls to a place where no one can find him. Ever wondered why we did not see any male Neander monsters? Anyway, she apologizes to him for letting him go through all the trouble. But Sakurai has had enough of this. He does not get why she is risking her life for a lowly human like him. There has to be some reason to protect the egocentric guy who blames others for whatever happens in his life. She has to tell him why. Is he going nuts? He does not remember his own past for some mysterious reason. She does not answer his queries, instead forbids him to say such cruel things, otherwise he will end up hurting himself again. These girl monsters don't have self-interest, they just love him, and that's the type of creature they are. He does not need to dig in further and be oblivious to his identity. He has to stay happy, and then they both will die together. At the end of the alley, there is a camera recording them, and a mysterious guy is watching their every action. He cannot stand Sakurai crying and asking questions because he's just a kid. Another mysterious girl appears, calling him Hashiba, and informs him how she has lost sight of Ye and Miyako. He asks her to rest assured and wait for the next chance when they will become demons to protect the people. These mysterious dudes are watching another mysterious old guy and predict that Miyako will come after this guy, and the same happens. She threatens him to get lost out of her sight, but he rests her assured he will not cause any trouble for Sakurai as long as she shows compliance and listens to what he has to say. He also turns to the camera of those mysterious dudes, maybe investigators, and invites them to join. They all make a room as their meeting place, where we learn that old man is the messenger of another mysterious being. Those investigators are interested in talking about Sakurai, but before they speak, Miyako reminds them she has learned their faces. They make her believe they have no reason to get rid of him. They just are curious why Sakurai is the center of all these incidents involving monsters. The old man is the messenger of Shinji and finally reveals the most awaited truth, that Sakurai has the poison that annihilates the monsters, so monsters are always tingling to get that poison. Monsters are kinda creepy and different creatures from humans and don't die a normal death as humans. When their flesh rots after death, their soul roams around in this world just to be reborn, and this countless cycle continues until they lose their minds. It's just like an endless curse whose cure is Sakurai's poison. This poison was originally created by the mysterious being to atone for his sins, but both monsters and Sakurai stole it from him. For a sin such as stealing, Sakurai also has to suffer for his entire life. Miyako cannot stand such bullshit against her man and is about to hit the old man. He reminds her he is nothing but a messenger. There is another message from his master, and if either Miyako or those investigators come his way, he will punish them. Is this man messenger box? Why doesn't he deliver all messages at a time? He whispers to Miyako another message and heads back his way. Miyako also does not stand here any further and returns to his beloved Sakurai. Those investigators finally take a breath. After all, there were two strong beings next to them. Hashiba is not satisfied with what he just learned. He has to dig in more to learn the truth. While he is grateful to the girl next to him, if she were not here, he would have been dead already. Then a new puzzle appears before us when we see Hashiba has a photo of him standing with smiling Sakurai. Sakurai gives her his clothes to wear. They are going outside and can't have her in tattered clothes. She is curious about where they are going together. It's surprisingly his first time to invite her and go together. Actually, he intends to go shopping and buy her some new clothes without knowing how expensive girls are. Well, he learns it in a day when he buys her new clothes and checks out his wallet. It's as typical of a man to see his wallet after shopping. Anyway, she is looking drop-dead gorgeous in her new outfit and is so excited to have them. She is just girling like crazy. Why does a man go to all the trouble of shopping with his girl? He has actually brought her along and bought her clothes just to atone for whatever recklessness he did back yesterday. He is aware he cannot make up with just clothes. His words are driving her crazy, and to make up with her, she desires to do what lovers do, a date. He does not need to worry about money. Everything turns out fun when she is together with him. They don't need to rush. Instead, take time, as every second matters on their date. It's like a calm before a storm. Good things have happened today without any interference. After their delightful day together, she drops him back home and is ready to flee from the window. She asks him to come ahead a bit and throws herself at him, which flushes that kid. She is thankful to him for taking his time out, which has increased her strong desire to spend her life with him as a human. That's how greedy she is. Her tears are dropping on his face, indicating how her heart is piercing with a sole thought. She takes her leave after causing her impact on him, which compels him to ponder if he might have done something wrong again. While going to an alley, her inner voice speaks and says iconic lines that man cannot match beasts. At the same time, beasts cannot hope to love as the man does. She has to never forget it. She passes by a mirror where she sees herself and says she cannot be like her. Then she moves on after breaking it into pieces. She might be creating a split personality for some good reason, her human self and beast self. Sakurai is still a school-going kid. He leaves home in the morning for school, even though he hates going there, and Miyako follows him. She does not want him to go alone, but it's what's bound to happen, so she's waiting for him at the main gate. He stops for a minute and says he has to thank her properly, so he will be back soon. When he moves on, she drools over him with a desperation to have him. Sakurai cannot go into his class thinking whatever happened this far. He's a scaredy cat, but he just has to mind his own business and does not get involved with anyone else. Suddenly, some dudes pop, and instead of nagging him, they force him to get inside as everyone is waiting for him. He goes in and feels like a celebrity, with everyone getting pleased for his return. He goes to his teacher Yoshimi and discusses how everyone's attitude has changed, which is very disturbing for him. Dude, nothing is more disturbing than seeing a woman who is sitting alive even after her death. Anyways, she considers they are acting a little awkward because no one can pretend as if nothing happened. She pulls him and inappropriately touches his face while teaching him he should never give up no matter what. If he still faces hard times, then he should come to her. She will comfort him in a better way. She is not a teacher, but bomb. He stumbles and goes back to class. In class, he starts to ponder what happened to these guys when he was away. Even though it's better than how it was, he still feels does not like it. He calls one of his classmates, and then suddenly all of them look at him with disgusting and creepy smiles, like that creepy smile used on memes. It's horror upon another horror. We see another new character who is involved in this trickery. She has created this scenario for her senpai. After all, these are his emotions and feelings. She would be happy if everything happened around her like she wanted to. Sakurai backs down in terror when everyone with their creepy face starts to corner him around and asks him dumbass questions. He is scared as hell who won't be, so he runs away outside with the hope Miyako will save him. But the junior girl butts in his way and takes him to a safe place to have fun. She is Kanzaki Kotono from first year class 3 and has known him for quite a while. She heads back to the creepy class, taking him along, and lets him sit on a chair to relax and enjoy. Sakurai knows nothing is going to be fun, and he has to just run to Miyako. His classmates are roaming in class like zombies if all of us are dead. Kanzaki finds out the guy who threw stones at Sakurai the other day and orders him to jump out of the window as an apology. Suddenly, the whole class horrifyingly starts bullying him and compels him to jump. Even that guy seems to be apologetic and intends to atone for his sins by jumping. This is another level of madness. Before Sakurai reaches to save that guy, he jumps out of the window and collapses on the ground right in front of him. He must be feeling disgusting and remorseful to see a guy die just because of him. Kanzaki tries to speak his inner feelings that he must be enjoying it, considering he wished them to die out of the window. Whatever he wished for, either subconsciously or unsubconsciously, she knows everything, as no one in the world can lie to her. After all, she is Kakeru-san. On the other hand, Miyako fortunately smells something wrong going on in school and enters the school through the front door to save his Romeo. The first rival she sees is none other than our hot teacher. It's strange, every time Bashimi takes off her glasses, her hammer hair turns into long hair like Rise of Tokyo Ghoul. Miyako challenges to annihilate her every time, and this time Bashimi uses her mind and warns her about the situation they are in. Those zombie students are crawling and surrounding them. Those students do not stand a chance against these two powerful girls. Bashimi guesses this must be the work of the Kakuri, who is a lowly class monster and likes to do hypnotism on others. These students must have been hypnotized because of extreme stress in a certain place called school. Huge applause to the teacher who has admitted that school is stress-causing shit. She gives Miyako a piece of advice that she should not come in between her and Sakurai, knowing she will cause trouble for him. For some reason, we see Yoshimi call her the Ms. Shadow of her former self. While leaving, Yoshimi warns her about the evil that is coming soon for their beloved Sakurai. As an ominous spirit, she is of no use until she fulfills the role, so she is lending him to Miyako for the time being. She humiliates Miyako in every way possible because of her identity that we don't know yet. Kakuri-san has shown her monster form. She can't see his gloomy face and compels him to have a smile on his face. What's wrong if one of those students dies even though they deserve it? He is scared and requests her to bring things back as they were. He really despises those students, even wish they would die, but he has had enough of it. Kakari shows him the scars all over the body of the original owner, Kanzaki. He must know her because she was just like him, being mocked and bullied by these students. She loathed those students and wanted to take revenge this much that Kakari could feel her pain even before possessing her. These wrongdoers are cocky ones who laugh at the backs of the weak and look at them like they are freaks. Weak ones also desire to live happily without being looked down on. Kakari strangles his neck and asks him why he is not accepting whatever she says, but he has accepted his fate and has given up on his life where he will never be happy again. At the last minute, Miyako swarms into the room. Miyako barges into the room while crushing zombies and begins her fight with Kakari. Kakari has an army of students that she aims toward Miyako, but Miyako is far stronger than them and crushes them with her bare hands. She even takes over the giant gloopy body of Kakari and pierces each part while mocking her that she is playing a game using her useless pawns. However, she stops when Kanzaki herself comes into action and points a blade at Miyako. At the same time, Miyako pierces Kanzaki's body with her hand. Kanzaki asks her how she can understand their feelings where she is far stronger than them from the beginning and does not even know her former self. In anger, Kanzaki stabs Miyako with her blade and commands her army to push them out of the window. Even on the deathbed, Miyako is curious about whether whatever Kanzaki says is from her directly or from the spirit possessing her. Without any further delay, those students push them against the window and apply force to crack the glass. Sakurai comes to his senses and runs to save Miyako, but it's too late. She falls along with those creepy fellows and reminds him of her love for him. Back there, Sakurai cries with despair and wonders how many times such things have happened just because of him. Looking at his own hands gives him flashbacks of what he truly is, and he collapses right there. Miyako survives the fall and comes to get Sakurai, who is unconscious lying on the ground. Hashiba makes his appearance again in school and passes through the dead bodies to reach where Sakurai is. He encounters Miyako and wants to talk with her about something, but she's not interested and yells at him not to interfere with them at this moment. He does not pull back and persistently continues that he wants her to answer a few questions for Sakurai's sake. It drives her mad and she readily transforms to corner him. He shows her that picture of him with Sakurai and takes her into a trust that he is not a bad guy for Sakurai, considering this picture is real and she must have been nearby when this photo was taken. It seems he has hit her at the right point. She takes the picture and bursts into tears. He comes down to the business and requests her for her help. He has received orders from high officials to eliminate Sakurai, but it's what they wish for. He has a strategy not to confront others whose knowledge he does not have yet and to proceed with the matter carefully. He does not intend to have unnecessary causalities. She is someone who has emotions and reasoning, so he expects her to talk with him without lying. There will be no interference as well because his colleague, the masked woman, is an exceptional monster and is taking care of it. Some students still have left roaming around the school and coming her way. She plays a song and transforms into a monster of urban legend Akamanto and deals with them in a very flashy way using her myth lines. Hashiba spills the beans to Miyako about why they have come to this city. Their organization began an investigation on a special grade monster that was designated as the 9th August because it was observed first time on the 9th August of the year for the first time. At first, it was not a serious matter until one other officer in this town sent an inspection report. It was a strange report because it was sent as a daily report for a specific date, that is the 9th of August. They conducted their research and found out that the city itself is a monster that is repeating itself. That's why they came into this town and were supposed to leave in a matter of time. Regarding the picture, he does not remember when it was taken. He found it in his jacket when he arrived the other day. He is curious if his memory is fizzy either due to his old age or due to a monster. He is a clever and shabby person, judging by how he has started recording their conversation. Miyako seems to know about this monster and tells him that this city is his monster's body, whose concept of time is like circulating blood of living beings. Hashiba is not satisfied with this information and keeps on interrogating where the heart of this monster is and if other organs are also mimicked in the form of a city or its parts. Miyako suspects he might have come to school to confirm all his possibilities, but he has no way to prove them, so he asks her why the Shijin messenger came into town, which has no escape. She reveals Shijin's goal is to do Kadoku, which involves trapping poisonous monsters into a flask and letting them eliminate each other until the most poisonous one remains. He uses the poisonous insects that survive in this city as an offering to elevate the status of the aberrations he worships. He made this city a flask for his useless shit, but Sakurai was treated badly from the beginning. He was forced to play the role of heart and aberration bait to keep the city going. The fact he is being treated this horribly for no good reason drives her mad, so she swears to annihilate Shijin no matter what. His colleague interrupts them and alerts him about something popped up in the sky. He goes to the window and witnesses something huge pulsating outside. Miyako continues to say it's the shape of the heart when it's recovering and other functions are stopped to circulate the blood. This circulation of blood is a terrifying concept linked with the time loop. As we see, heart is currently circulating old blood. All students, even Miyako, start to rise in the sky, maybe to repeat everything. She has seen this scene countless times, and each time her urge to have him increases. That's why she has promised to make him a happy person, even if she ends up being a terrible beast. What a sad and tragic story. Now everything makes sense. Thus, that's how this timeline ends and a new one begins. He suddenly opens his eyes and gets surprised to see Miyako next to him. He shockingly asks what she is doing here, and she replies she has decided to stay with him no matter what happens. She is wearing those cute outfits she bought on their date from the previous timeline. She inquires if he remembers anything about these clothes or what happened the other day, but he has forgotten each and everything. Moreover, he does not care about those clothes. How terrible and heartbreaking it can go. The time when they went on a date and spent their delightful time, he has forgotten all of it. And we are witnessing it for the first time. This girl Miyako has suffered this heartbreak countless times. He is all back to the beginning when he is processing Mita's death and asking Miyako who she is. She does not loathe him for not remembering him. Instead, it smiles and introduces herself as an Okuri Okami, escorting wolf. The story from her point of view is far more heartbreaking than from Sakurai's point, or they both are equally suffering from the other's selfish desires. Hashiba is taking tea and prefers to stay outside than in a dark room and enjoy this peaceful morning. It seems he is right to make these senseless excuses because Miyako is also there and threatens him for not cooperating with her. It's clear she has come to discuss an important business. 30 minutes later, we see Miyako together with Sakurai. Sakurai avoids her as much as he can. Of course, an unknown girl who keeps pestering creeps one out. He is pissed off at why she is even here in his house. She is in the room while he is on the balcony. Hashiba and his colleague also come here and rebuke him for shouting on the balcony this morning. It brings a smile to his face. If he tells everything about Miyako to them, then they will contact the police. But the poor boy is an innocent kid. The scene shifts to when she was at Hashiba's office and was ready to slit his throat any time. Hashiba spills the beans that he came here as a policeman and made contact with Sakurai, of course, for his own purpose. So he will use his police identity to gain Sakurai's trust. She does not budge even after his proclamation. Without having any other choice, he exposes the truth about his recorder that she promised him the other day to save Sakurai together. However, he does not remember anything about it because he heard it from their recorded conversation in the recorder. How cheap. We are back at the current time. They have gathered valuable information regarding the Time Loop City, and now he needs her cooperation for Sakurai's safety. She has calmed down and intends to cooperate with him as long as she decides he is not worth living. He plays the recording, which is about his interesting question if she wants to eat Sakurai. Currently, he wants her to explain everything about whatever she said in the recording. Meanwhile, Sakurai is with Hashiba's colleague and has come to the food court. She is eating heavily and asks him to eat with his heart content as well, but he does not intend to fill his stomach in such a situation and wants to flee as soon as possible. He gets up to leave for the bathroom, and colleague also follows him to the toilet like she is his bodyguard. Of course, he feels embarrassed about what a girl is doing in a boy's bath, but she has sensed something wrong already in the bath, so her following is going to help him. Someone in the bath knows Sakurai has come in the bath and talks with him. He wants him to open the door because his hands got dirty on the way over there. It seems he is Hashiba, locked in the bath, judging by his voice. It's suspicious why he is asking Sakurai to do this, not his colleague. Colleague uses her mind and asks him what her name is. So-called Hashiba starts laughing because his act has been caught red-handed. It's another female monster who has been working on her script and got ruined by them, but she will put on a good show for them. On getting out, she says her iconic hammer monster myth lines and attacks them using her hammer. Hashiba also becomes alert considering his colleague is not responding, so both Hashiba and Miyako run toward them. Miyako is worried about Sakurai and yells at Hashiba for his useless guarantee of protecting him. Hashiba is also confused as to why their traps did not work when they were placed everywhere. The hammer girl has transformed her face and has a rule that whoever sees her monster face disappears eventually, but Hashiba's assistant is still intact, which is surprising. Her parent must be a reason who possesses great powers, and that's why she is stubborn and still standing firmly, but it can't be prolonged since she has seen her face. However, the hammer girl is okay with Sakurai remembering her face like the time when she went to his house. Sakurai is perplexed at what she is talking about. He does not remember a thing about it and apologizes to her. But she does not mind it. She was just checking if he remembers anything. His face is flaring her body, which can be seen through her blushing on another level. Sakurai is terrified of her after all. He is encountering a yander other than Miyako first time in this timeline. To make things worse, Yi breaks into the room through the window. She wanted to come quickly, but her girly side wanted to make her entrance in a hammer way. She is indeed looking cool with her straw hat and cute facial expressions. Now she is here. She's going to end all things, including the hammer girl involved in Samijima urban legend. They both are fired up and exchange badass lines to end each other. Two Yandere are already here. Another Yandere, but a good one, pops up. When Miyako sees Sakurai crying due to overwhelming fear because of those monsters, she gets agitated with anger and transforms into her wolf monster form. Now there are three badass monsters in the room who give deadly and sinister stares to each other. Hashiba is an investigator of monsters, not the normal you see there. He has a song in his recorder which is a lethal weapon against monsters as well as Sakurai. He has replayed this song, and if it reaches in about 10 or more seconds, they won't be spared. So they have to withdraw for his sake. He will be taking Sakurai in his custody for his sake. Hashiba has taken Miyako already in his trust, so she leaves Sakurai in his care. The Hammer Girl also overlooks the things that happened for Sakurai's sake, but she will come for Hashiba later to eliminate him. Well, she had come here in the first place just to give him a ticket for a play, which is about a guy surrounded by Yandere monster girls. The title of the play is The Little Mermaid of August. Moreover, Sakurai also seems interested as he will be the main character of his play story. The Hammer Girl has given him a ticket for the play, which will be shown 1 week later. We can see she's another maniac and cannot wait for just 1 week to see Sakurai. Hashiba brings Sakurai along and ensures that he will be safer here than at his home. Furthermore, his mother is also under protection, so he does not need to worry. It's all to protect him from monsters, so they need his cooperation as well. Hashiba and his colleague talk about him later. They have managed to persuade him without his resistance, but it was actually easy, just because his eyes were saying he had given up on his life and everything. Now they have to just rely on Miyako. Miyako brings all the belongings of Sakurai and places them in his room. She is excited and asks him random questions about placing stuff here and there, and he does not give a shit. He is given hope and nothing matters to him anymore. She understands his reasoning and sits next to him where he opens up about his mother. He is losing his mind at the realization that he has been an annoyance and burden to his mom, who dragged him along like luggage. She has always been busy in her part-time and did not care like a real mother, so it's kind of relieving he is not a burden to her anymore. He thinks Miyako is working with Hashiba and has come to babysit him, so he will listen to her anything. She magnificently asks him to hug him if he is supposed to do anything. He hesitates and cannot process what she's even saying. Poor soul did not remember he felt almost for her in the previous timeline. He is about to say something, but she shuts his mouth by placing her soft hands on his mouth and lets him listen to her whole request. She is almost on his top and locks her eyes with his eyes. She starts rapping not one but multiple requests about what she wants from him. She is demanding he live with her as a romantic couple. She wants him to live happily until death separates them. After all her rap, he does not have anything to say, just leave him alone. She accepts it without resisting, but she will come again and will keep coming until she hears anything. She comes out on the ground where her rival Ye is waiting for him. They have a duel set up under Hashiba's Kali, and the rules of the duel are fighting with the opponent until they give up, and the time limit is 10 minutes. The victor of this duel will be placed next to the boy. Both girls are enthusiastic about winning this duel and getting authority over Sakurai as his girl. These both girls are gorgeous looking in human form and gross in their demon form. They begin their duel and beat each other's asses with their savage kicks. We see Miyako losing. It might be because Ye has long legs and thighs as Hachishaku-sama. However, Ye predicted this coming from Okuryokami, a monster who can't lash out her power unless her prey is in danger. If she surrenders now, Ye will allow her to be a serving guard dog, but this will happen only if she's able to abandon her pride. Miyako smirks and does not want her to lump her with the monsters. She is confident that's the reason Sakurai won't come for monsters. Ye cannot stand such humiliation and stomps on her to be mindful of her words. Even getting strong hits, she continues her rap about her love for him. Her life and pride do not end this easily. Sakurai belongs to her through a curse that does not let her meet the end of life easily. Seeing Miyako not giving up, Ye decides to unleash her true power and begins singing a song. The masked girl is in touch with Hashiba, and Ye's words alarm that the situation is going to be out of their hands. The origin of her song comes from the myth of Hachishaku, when she was under their control in the organization. Their myth department provokes monsters using the fear of myths. Similarly, her myth is imprinted somewhere in her body, so most likely there is something attached to her. Hashiba's assistant can see her heart as something responsible for her myth. With her final words, Ye transforms into another form which is worse than terrifying. Ya in her horrible form is far more powerful than her previous form and easily severe Miyako's head. Ya is confident Miyako won't be able to move after receiving such a blow, so she turns back to her normal human self and while returning, asks the referee to bring Sakurai into her room. Miyako, even on her deathbed, flinches her wolf arm, but she is in such bad shape and loses her wits. Masked Girl reports to Hashiba about whatever happened there. She has analyzed Ye's power closely, Ye used a divine class myth ability, Overdrive and Deceit, and enhanced it to a high level. So for the time being, other monsters might not attack them except the monster of the same Jima incident, the Hammer Girl. They will have to just wait for reinforcement to arrive who will be happy to step in. Regarding Miyako, she is also recovering back at a high rate and will be acted by dawn. On the other hand, Ya is in his room with his lover, and it seems the innocent boy will learn something new. Ya with her big hot body is taking over innocent soul Sakurai. She is so close to him inappropriately that even he feels embarrassed and alerts her about their distance, but this distance is normal for her. They have been more intimate than this. She will be living together with him from now on and has taken permission from a higher authority. He is uncomfortable around him and hits her nerves when he asks her what happened to Miyako. She gets that it's the name of her rival. She is pissed on making such a blunder for letting someone interfere in their life, but now it's his fault for not relying on her. She bursts out wondering why he is looking for another when she has his if he is not satisfied with her when she loves him. It fills her eyes with tears that drop on Sakurai's face. But these things do not matter now. She is rather glad he is weak and she is strong, which will help her take control over him. She is dying to do something inappropriate or eat his every part. She unbuttons his shirt without his consent, whereas he struggles back with his weak body. Moreover, she likes to see him struggling because it satisfies her to feel how weak creature he is. Him giving up against her is very nostalgic for her. He used to give up halfway through when he thought he would lose. Sakurai is fed up with her idiocy and retaliates her by punching her right in the chest where her heart is. He punched her aimlessly to push her back, and she misunderstands he was specifically targeting her heart, her main core. She holds his hand with anger and guesses it might be Miyako who taught him how to fight against her. She is the evil who brainwashed him against Ye and other girls. Sakurai takes a stand for Miyako that she would not do such a thing. She does not order him around, unlike Ye, who was kinda scaring him. Hashiba has installed another camera in their room and has been watching this stuff while drinking like he is watching a movie with popcorn. Sakurai speaking for Miyako surprises him and gives him a new lead. Ye cannot listen to Sakurai's nonsense and considers it the effect of something blue that has corrupted him. So she decides to pull out the blue that is residing inside his body. She forcefully says random stuff in his ear that echoes in his mind to confuse him, then she moves to cut his little hand finger. He falls on the ground with dire pain in his hand while she crunches his finger like Yuji eats Sukuna's fingers. She realizes cutting his ties with Miyako was a stupid move. It's something hopeless people would rely on. She should first by violating his mind. She's a crazy witch going so far for her own satisfaction. Miyako has almost regained her consciousness, so Hashiba fills her in with everything that happened so far. There are some things that have created a total mess. The first thing is that Yi has gone missing, but it is suspected she will return on her own. Another one's a major problem and is related to Sakurai's body. His body is getting weaker gradually. They have even replayed the recordings but could not figure out what caused it. It's something that does not belong to Hakushaku's myth. Their voices do not seem to have any effect on him, which means they don't have enough time. Miyako loses her control and struggles against Hashiba's colleague without calming down. How even she can be calm when that witch is torturing Sakurai. Hashiba makes her realize she has limits with her human body to fight against Ye, so he has a preposition. He can make her stronger by adding more myths in turn. She has to tell them what Sakurai's sin is. They checked the camera recording and found Sakurai rumbling about himself that this pain was good enough for him. It's not what an ordinary child says. He was once called a thief for stealing the poison, but him saying its punishment for his sins is so far. It's not what an ordinary child and a thief say. Miyako clears the wrong assumptions Hashiba made. Sakurai, when learned what the original contents of the poison were, decided to die in the same way, so he drank the poison. His sin is the act of stealing another's life. After making a deal with Hashiba, she goes to a room where defenseless Sakurai is lying on the ground without any consciousness. He can be saved in the same way as he was saved in the last timeline. She gives him a kiss in love and, having no other choice, strangles his neck with her wavering heart. We see a guy's school day from his point of view. He was so busy reading a book that he lost track of time, and it is sunsetting time. He has to reach home quickly, so he decides to take a shortcut through the heavy jungle first time. He is highly terrified and conscious, and suddenly, a creepy creature from a distance asks him if he is alone. This creature again asks the same question, but this time she changes her shape to a horrific one. This guy knows it's a bad omen, so he starts running in the opposite direction, and when he thinks he has come far, another horrified creature takes his notice. At the same time, the first creature also happens to catch up. These creatures want to take him as their prey, so they start fighting with each other and destroy. This guy finally calms down, but this jungle is a nightmare. Surprisingly, a cute girl approaches him, and after smelling him, she asks if she should escort him. We see a guy other than Sakurai in her eyes. Suddenly, Sakurai opens his eyes and hugs her upon recognizing her. It also fills her with excitement, but she feels something strange and corners him with her monster form. He does not smell like Sakurai, so he can be in Sakurai's body. When things seem to turn good, they turn bad. She horrifyingly asks him where her Sakurai is. Hashiba and his assistant also come there with surprise why she is acting like that with him. On coming there, they also get surprised to see Sakurai acting strange. This guy organizes his thoughts and concludes if he is called Sakurai, then it means a certain process lodging is successful. Hashiba has heard about this lodging stuff that there was a custom in a village where the liver and heart of the disease were given to the children with the belief that the memories and habits of the disease were transferred to the recipient children. The poison that Shijin made Sakura eat can be related to this legend. Miyako does not care about anything else and is losing her control over herself. Hashiba's assistant steps in and stops her from going berserk. This guy in Sakurai is ashamed and blames all things on himself. He just wanted non-humans to love him, so he relied on Shin, and they ended up destroying each other. He wants these things to end, and only Hashiba can stop all this mess. Shijin came to this land to restore his faith in his god, and now he intends to lodge his former village into this city. The necessity for lodging is heart, which is basically Sakurai himself. If it destroyed his heart, then they will achieve their goal, but sadly Sakurai will lose his life as a host. Miyako, who has been in love with Sakurai for countless time loops, cannot stand the fact about Sakurai dying, so she cries with her heart content. We see this old man messenger watching a speculating moment in the moonlight. It's satisfying for him to see an unknown maiden wet with love and blood hovering in the sky. Other Yander monsters also look at the beautiful big round moon in the bright moonlight. It's like a calm before a storm. Hashiba receives orders from high officials to eliminate Sakurai, which will help them solve this mystery. It's a cruel request after all, and happiness is a cruel thing. Sakura is lying unconscious and Miyako is trying her best to wake up her Sakurai Ao. He finally opens his eyes and this time it's Sakurai himself. Hashiba gets hopeless to see what's going on there. In excitement, she's been holding Sakurai close like a baby since morning, which confuses him and kinda raises suspicions that something happened. Hashiba accepts a lot of things that happened while he was asleep, so does he remember anything like what he did before going to sleep yesterday? Poor kid does not remember a thing from what cruelest things he has done to how another person's memories flowed into him. He just remembers they moved boxes together on Hashiba's decision. Hashiba realizes it's a cruel thing and goes back to moving furniture. Sakurai stops him to ask what about Miyako and her behavior. Hashiba has a soft spot made in his heart and requests him to respect her feelings. Humans are not the only ones with a heart. Upon coming out, he accepts he is not cut for this job. He is giving priority to saving compassionate minority to unseen masses. Miyako has also moved into Sakurai's room and they both share the same bed. She is holding so close that he can't sleep, so he gets up with her following him. He is curious if something has happened. He is just worried about her. Well, she can't think of him disappearing and leaving her behind alone. He is not satisfied with her answer. She has always a positive and strong attitude as if she does not give a damn about anything, but what about now? He looks at her crying face, which shocks him and melts his heart that she is a stalker who is not afraid of annihilating others, a strange and strong creature, but she keeps saying she loves him and gets hurt without him knowing anything. He embraces her on a whim and calms her down, questioning himself what even he is doing. It's a heart after all that moves. Hashiba and his assistant come into their room and find something inappropriate going on. Miyako has calmed down and returned to her romantic mode. At first, it was her holding him close in her arms, and now it's him holding her close, but she's damn big to fit in his small arms. She demands him to do that again. Hug, after all, they are in love, and he denies they are not in love, it's just her. Hashiba and his assistant, of course, can't disturb someone's privacy, so they leave the room silently like they had come. Now this problem related to Miyako being heartbroken has been solved, and the next problem is regarding her people. It's received a call from a guy, Nakazona, that 2 teams of Aragoto are on their move to the scene. According to the survey report, he will be in charge of them, and they are most likely people under the influence of higher-up hawks. If they are targeting Sakurai, then special entities might become their enemies, so Hashiba assigns a duty to his assistant to head to the scene and retrieve other team members. He has talked with our hot chick teacher, Ishimi, to be an ally in this matter, so his assistant has to go along with her, but Ishimi is reliable enough to overturn the life-threatening crisis. As soon as their team members sense anything dangerous, they will come back themselves. Masked Girl Assistant meets with Shimi in a cafe where she looks ditto, a combination of Tuka and Sarada, Tokyo Ghoul, and Naruto mentioned. She has decided to join them just for her Sakurai's sake to save him from evil, but she did not think Hashiba would be highly protective of his assistant enough to request help from outside. Enough chit-chat, Yushimi can't fight anyone but just guide her, so if Masked Girl makes any wrong move, she will face consequences. Ushimi is no doubt a heartless queen. She asks the masked girl to bow before her if she is going to follow her commands. Suddenly, someone in the shadow throws a thing which the masked girl skillfully dodges with her perfect body, and Ushimi gives a grade C as a teacher. A girl pops up from the shadow and recognizes Hashiba's assistant as Hasumi Kudo from the Hasabara team. Here we learn first the masked girl has some name. This new girl keeps coming ahead and seems relieved to see one of her colleagues as she was going to ask for help from someone. Coming outside, there's just Ushimi calmly sitting because Hasumi plunges onto her to kick her ass. This girl is shocked why Hasumi is attacking her fellow. Hasumi has never liked the person with this girl's face because she never apologized to Hasumi no matter what. Then we also dislike her. Hasumi assumes this girl is not a human. She senses a faint smell of mountains mixed with blood in the alley coming from the girl. She can guess who the monster is by considering the urban legend of possessing women and mountain mysteries. Its second-grade designation, Monster Yamanoke, who then shows her true horrific self. Yamanoke is about another urban legend that is scary as hell. Yamanoke monster possesses humans who go into the mountains late at night for fun. Right now, while fighting with Hasumi, she is weak in this form and takes strong hits from Hasumi. Her jaw is almost pierced by Hasumi's sword, and when she senses danger, she reminds Yusumi that if not, her people hate taking the lives of those who are possessed by evil spirits. Hasumi is finally aware it's to avoid damage caused by the evil spirit, but this girl is another case. Yamanoke begs for help from her companions, how long they are going to watch her getting destroyed, but it was her another trick. Hasumi diverts her eyes for a bit, Yamanoke frees herself from the sword's grip and goes back to the shadow. Hasumi is also about to follow her in the shadows. Ushimi alerts her that if she goes any further, she will be torn into pieces, as there is someone powerful being lurking in the shadows. Hasumi understands that Ushimi must be saying it with her knowledge, so she returns and reports to Hashiba that a girl Kato of Team 2 has been possessed by Yamanoke. It's surprising to Hashiba because Kato is not the kind of a person to lose to second-grade monsters, so they must assume something has happened. Hasumi tells him that Yamanoke was bluffing. Mysteries have formed a coalition. It might be just a bluff, but what if it's true then? It means someone from their faction is leaking information. Moreover, Yamanoke knew Hazumi's name and her identity, so her surprise attack as Ikamonto was not affected. Considering what's going on, he gives her instruction not to use her new mystery Kankandara. These girls reach the point where stairs lead to some place where it looks like some incident occurred just up ahead. They are able to get here because Ushimi is Yushiana, a mystery that appears after a tragedy. Hasumi can still avoid the tragedy that is about to happen by wisely making the right choices. Hasumi enters the place, which is a theater of the hammer monster involved in Samejima myth. There are dead people, or can say murdered people, sitting on front chairs. She analyzes it as not a sudden death, but torture to the death. This hammer girl lets Hasumi take a seat and chat about a serious topic. She actually went to see Sakurai the night he lost his finger. The scene turns to that time. She couldn't wait to see him, so she excitedly came here by herself, wondering what kind of face he would make. Upon reaching there, she listened to Sakurai screaming for his life, so she opened the door in panic and saw Yae enjoying eating a piece of Sakurai. She was overjoyed and thrilled by how his finger was making her insides corrupted by his existence. She is damn big as compared to a small finger. Looking back, Hashiba knew this hammer girl was going to visit Sakurai, but he still let Yae interfere. He must have made her a protagonist who rushes to save her lover, but there was one mistake in the story. She is only allowed to bite Sakurai. Hasumi does not sympathize with her and asks her what happened to Yae. The hammer girl also does not know anything about Hachishaku and does not seem to trust Hasumi either about not knowing Yae's whereabouts. So he wants her to spill out everything and die painlessly or die terribly without saying anything. Hasumi proposes she cooperate with them, but it drives her mad. She transforms her cool face into a gross one and corners Hasumi that it was a dumbass answer. Humans are cowards and dumb, and she should rejoice in her stupidity. Well, one cannot deny that this hammer girl has a hot body, even in her monster form. But Shimi is another slaying maiden who she turns into her monster form, although she seems a little bit creepy. Her monster form originated from an urban legend about a maiden who went to slay a man-eating serpent, but others betrayed her, letting her meet her end soon. The remnants of her fate are still found in the tale Kankandara. She is fighting with another haughty hammer girl and has the upper hand due to her titanic body, so she finally manages to corner her without any special efforts. The hammer girl is originated from the special grade tale, Samejima incident, and she can't unleash her power unless she establishes the tale of a surprise attack by an unknown entity. So Ushimi demands she back off and stop meeting Sakurai from now on, but the hammer girl resists as this is not a battle where the loser can walk away unscathed. Ushimi also does not hold back either and gives the loser what she's asking for. She walks back to where Hasumi is waiting for her and asks her if there are any apparitions around them. Hasumi does not sense anyone, but she wonders why Ushimi did not the life of the hammer girl. Well, Yoshimi followed Hashiba's instructions that said this is not a story that can be solved by just murdering her. That's why she is curious why Hasumi is fixated on Sakurai, if it's due to Shin who is residing within him. Hasumi accepts she has personal affection for Shin, not Sakurai. When they were cursed by the messenger's dirty schemes, they became immortal and became lumps of flesh, yet Shin was the only one who considered them humans. As long as Shin was with them, they could remember they were beings with humans. He never let them lose their sanity and decided to lie eternally with them by accepting the lodging. That's why no matter how many names he changed or how many times passed, they were able to find that child. While talking about all this stuff, Yoshimi is transformed into her monster form. This long story is the answer to a small question, and now she demands compensation from Yoshimi by answering her question. There is another that is bugging her, who is the creature who goes by the name Miyako and is approaching Sakurai, due to different logic from theirs. She is right to find Miyako suspicious after all. Waifu is playing with her little Sakurai in his room right now. When Miyako is being lovey-dovey with Sakurai, Hashiba is watching the scene on his laptop, maybe enjoying it. Here he recalls his first encounter with Sakurai, so the scene shifts to their first meetup. He takes Sakurai to his investigation room and informs him that he will be dealing with Sakurai's case, so if he wants to know more about the girl stalking him, details are preferred. Sakurai is hesitant if he will trust him, but Hashiba takes him to trust that he specializes in cases like these and Sakurai's opinion matters to him the most. Sakurai feels comfort with him and starts telling his first encounter with Miyako. It was the time in August when a woman was chasing him and he was running to save his life before he realized he ended up in the jungle and cornered by that woman. This woman was crazy as hell, more like another Yandere who was feeling joy being physical with him. Suddenly, our favorite Yandere, Miyako, showed up as she was already looking for him and murdered another woman right away. Currently, Sakurai feels embarrassed about continuing it again. Hashiba takes him to trust that he won't tell anything to anyone. However, he is clearly lying by recording their conversation. Sakurai continues his story, which is kind of weird one. Miyako took into bushes, tore out his clothes, and did what a man and woman do secretly in the room. This time, Hashiba stops him from saying any further. Hashiba is a big-ass man, so he knows this lovey-dovey stuff and asks him to continue it another time. Hashiba goes to the wagon where Hasumi is enjoying a burger. She asks him about Sakurai, how he is doing, and learns he is pretty terrified and upset, which is very expected from him. At this point, they don't know if Miyako is related to this supernatural thing or if she is a stolen mystery tale, but she seems to be confident in her strength, which means it is going to be a troublesome job for them. Well, the Miyako is doing her job under the moonlight while showing her heavenly body, eliminating and cutting apart the bodies of those witches who are coming her way one by one. She is enjoying this moment anyway. The other members of the organization where Hashiba and Hasumi work are gathered for the conference and around the table, but in the wagon. They discuss the information Hashiba and his assistant gathered about Miyako, who is connected to the victim Sakurai. She is a supernatural being connected to the mountains, considering all incidents related to her happen in the forests or in mountain paths, and her abilities are limited to physical contact according to their testimony, Sakurai. Those other dudes don't take it seriously and give priority to eliminating those possessive apparitions. They have captured apparitions Agaribito and Shippo, and observe that they have no connection with Miyako. So they plan to continue with their usual method and dismiss this useless meeting. They have sent Hashiba and Hasumi to continue with the investigation just to seem like they have made their efforts and ordered them to use their boring strategy, using the victim as bait and forcing a confrontation. Hashiba is fed up with all this fuss and thinks this strategy won't solve the problem related to the Miyako incident. Hasumi has been listening to his muttering and gives him a drink to chill out and keep going on their path. Hashiba receives a call from Kato of the second team and learns Sakurai has been abducted. The entity whose appearance matches the description of Miyako had broken into Sakurai's residence and headed out towards the mountain after the abduction. The second team that was on the site for monitoring is almost entirely wiped out. His duo becomes alert if Miyako has taken down the second team, then it means she is a special class entity. Miyako is carrying his unconscious prince Sakurai and walking through the woods through a smelly place that is toxic to the body, but she will take him out of this place soon. When she is about to enter a cave, Hashiba and Hasumi make it on time. Miyako is kinda different from the Miyako we have seen until now. She can smell the terror from their human body and grasp this duo as the remnant of those dudes she just eliminated earlier. She puts Sakurai on the ground and prepares herself for the battle. On the other hand, Hasumi comes in her defensive monster mode and Hashiba is wondering what they should do now that Miyako is not giving them time to chat over this matter. Just at the right time, another Miyako shows up heading straight to deal with an imposter Miyako, but Imposter 1 uses her agile body to dodge her attack and understands the situation. She was waiting for an opening to fight with the imposter Miyako. This new Miyako is the real deal. She has her face all distorted and her body covered in blood. After all, she is the remnant of the Okuri Ukami. Miyako has cast her identity as an Okuri Ukami, but she can still follow the scent of her dear Sakurai. She is a beast that cannot be underestimated. Both Miyako fight with each other, but the difference in strength is clear. Imposter Miyako has the upper hand and plans to take the name of Okuri Ukami as a mystery tale, the one beast who protects travelers on their way home as an escorting wolf. But she's forgetting there are other guys as well to take Sakurai in her custody. Hasumi completely transforms into her monster form, which is none other than a titanic centipede. She pushes both Miyako aside with her big body, and yapping Miyako pushes her back, but Hashiba has done his job. He has understood the imposter Miyako seems to be aware of the thing power drawn from recreating a mystery tale, and if this mystery tale she talks about is set in the forest, then he also has a special grade power, his waifu Hasumi. Moreover, he has just protected Sakurai from her attack, which nullifies the power and tail of Okuri Ukami, which she tried to react, but he does not have the intention to fight over here. Instead, he wants to have a proper conversation with her. The real Miyako has been listening to all this stuff. Whatever Hashiba says is just bullshit, and it does not matter to her. She just won't let anyone take Sakurai from her. Hashiba is sweating and is about to draw his recorder, but then the imposter Miyako reveals she is not created from a tale but the supernatural entity itself, the source of this tale. It is clearly visible as Miyako is transforming into a wolf and escorting wolf. The imposter one is created through just Okuri Ukami's tale. Hasumi is actually telling all this tale to Ushimi, who is transformed into a horse-like monster. Miyako was always prepared to leave her name if she had to protect her Sakurai. One needs to trace further back in time if he has to learn how Okuri Ukami was separated from the mystery tale and how her power passed on to another. It is related to the legend Yabakuni, a tale of a woman who ate mermaid flesh and lived for 800 years without aging. However, this legend is circulated differently from this in their organization. A starving mermaid deity, ravaged by hunger, was found washed up on the shore, and the villagers feasted on this mermaid out of their desperation and famine. The messenger of deity could not see this, and cursed those villagers to suffer from thirst and remain immortal for life. Those villagers are none other than those residents who are living in this city, including all these monsters generated by tales. When these humans did not retain their human form, the messenger came to this city bringing poison to lift this curse and giving them the power to fight for it. This poison is Shin's heart, which is now transformed to Sakurai's memory, and those powers are actually mystery tales that the messenger stole from Hashiba's organization. These tales are the medium for gaining power, so by recreating those tales, one can get a fragment of the tale's power. It's just the same as how imposter Miyako gained power by recreating the tale in Hazumi's story about the Okuri Ukami. She was a timid girl who lived in many timelines as a human, unlike how she is now. The tale's influence her power. It is more likely the tale of the origin of Okuri Ukami is serving as the medium of her power. Her organization is an idiot to think the tales and mediums are stories with unchanged endings, but actually, it's the memory of a beast who loves Sakurai unconditionally. After listening to all this emotional background of their origin, Ashimi returns to her human self and walks back to the stairs. She concludes she won't know anything unless she pulls out the heart of Miyako, but whatever, she did not expect anything from Hasumi's blabbering. Hasumi is kinda confused as to why Ushimi is not attacking her when it's the perfect opportunity for her and Hasumi. But Shimi is actually becoming emotional. She already told her before coming here that her only chance of survival is to keep Hazumi alive, and nothing makes her more happy than learning there is someone who accepted her ugly self and tried to lift the curse. She can throw her pride and throw herself into the hell without any hesitation. Bro, when she turns back, she has eyes full of tears, and damn, she's a mommy, a cute mommy. Hasumi understands all those feelings. After all, they have nothing to do with the powers. Hasumi cannot stand on her own and returns to the room where Hashiba is. Seeing her in this condition, he leaves his interesting movie on his laptop and goes to support her. Well, in the movie something vulgar is going on. Miyako is playing with her little Sakurai and is showing her jiggly bowls while being on top of him, but idiot Sakurai is being shy for no reason and nothing responding to her. So she decides to be a little forceful with him, and he can feel her excitement is kinda nostalgic to when she did it with him in the bushes. Suddenly, Hashiba barges into the room, not to prevent her from progressing with what she is up to, but to alert her and prepare a counterattack for the joined tail forces coming to attack this place. Hashiba takes Mommy Miyako to the place where the second team of his organization is and introduces them to her by their names. He wants them to get along for a time being, but those guys, Takusawa and Kureyama, have a problem with him bringing a monster here to align with their goal. They cannot trust her. Who knows, what if this mountain dog betrays them and bites them in the back? It's better he hand over the command of operation to the second team. Mommy is transforming into her wolf form and challenging those guys about why she would bite them on their back when she can tear them apart head-on. Well, those guys also cannot bear this humiliation and are ready to accept this challenge, but Uncle Kaido interrupts their yapping. He leaves the command decisions to Hashiba since they have joined forces. However, Hashiga will be held accountable for explaining this situation later. They start their alliance by sharing information they gathered. The Tail Mysteries are banding together to make their way to Sakurai, and their group consists of almost 20 first and second class mysteries. Among them, one entity is identified to be the Real. Miyako does not get the term the Real, so Hashiba tells her that it's a mystery tale similar to Hachisaku-sama in terms of her bad fame. The tale is narrated as the terror of possession. Even renowned priests were unable to exorcise, and the ones possessed by her end up giving their lives and souls. According to Hazumi's report, Kato from the second team has been possessed by Yamanuk, so it's more likely their strategies to deal with those monsters have been leaked. They have no choice other than moving Sakurai here and there, and they can't wait either for reinforcement from the headquarters. They will be taking help from Ushimi, who is currently watching over her little Sakurai, and move to other areas where such type of supernatural entities might lend them help. Even the entities with supernatural powers like those involved in the Samejima incident have become targets, so it's a possibility they will agree to join their forces. Takusawa interrupts him to ask if he thinks those monsters have hearts. Hashiba replies confidently that they definitely have hearts, more than those immoral humans. He has divided the team into two groups, one that will move Sakurai, and the other that will go offensive and launch simple assaults. Hasumi has a query about how they will be able to move from this base, but Hashiba has made preparations already and called Nakazona, who is on her way. For some reason, Hasumi seems shocked with her big eyes bulging out. We see this Nakazona playing outside with the zombies and approaching Mommy Ye, who is alone dealing with those monsters. She appreciates Yi-san for doing this much alone with her sheer strength, being a special class entity, and even informs her about 2 more dead zombie monsters coming from her back, so she eliminates them with her bare hands. Ye-san is wary of her and does not want her to come closer, but Nakazona continues that she saw Ye was having trouble, even she would agree to get help from anywhere. So she has come here personally to help her and tells her what these creatures that are coming after Ye are. Her opponent is the first-class entity Agaribigo. He was a human first, but after turning wild, he was treated as a god and became a mystery tale. She can't deal with those dead zombies with her bare 2 hands. She will need the help of a 4-laid approach that she is willing to teach Ye. We see black cats running bizarrely around Nakazona, who knows what her power and true identity is. That's the story up until now that has revealed what is the true nature of our mommy Miyako, and how those monsters move with the powers using those mystery tales. Stay updated.